Lately, I've found myself presented with quite a few sewing projects, but whether it's upholstery or a boat cover, my old Kenmore machine really struggles with heavier vinyls and canvas. So I finally broke down and bought this Singer 111W155. It's an industrial walking foot sewing machine that would probably sew through a chunk of wood if you want it, and based on the serial number, my particular unit was made in 1951. It works, but it's not the prettiest, and the table is in kind of rough shape, with a lot of deep scratches, missing wood, and paint splatters in a few spots. In this video, we're going to take care of the table and everything on it, and I think we'll save the machine itself for a future video. I started by removing the machine, which just lifts straight out, then squared off the area where the wood is missing so it can be replaced. Once the hole was square, I took an 1/8" thick board of oak, marked it up, cut it to size, and after re-gluing some of the interface material, I ran a bead of glue for the replacement wood and clamped it all together. There was an area towards the back where the machine sits that was cracked and barely hanging on, so it got the same glue and clamp treatment as the front did. This area is load-bearing, so it was especially important that it be repaired. After the glue had dried, I removed the thread stand, bobbin winder, and all the rest of the hardware on the surface of the table. All these items will be getting restored as well, and as you can see here, some of them are pretty rusty. After taking everything apart, all of the metal components were sent off for sandblasting. After lugging the table outside, I went over the whole surface with a DA sander and 80 grit sandpaper, followed up with 200 grit. That, paired with some leftover wood putty from my subwoofer build a few months ago, really helped level the surface and smooth everything out, as well as blend in that 1/8" piece of oak we added to the corner. I decided not to stain this, and instead just went straight to finishing. The product I'm using is called Armor Seal from General Finishes, and according to Reddit at least, it's one of the best wood finishes there is. This is my first time using it, so I was really curious to see how it would turn out. Once the metal parts returned from sandblasting, they were just as clean as the day they were cast. For paint, I decided to use some of this Glacier Black Cerakote I had left over from a motorcycle exhaust project a few weeks ago. This stuff is commonly used on firearms, and it can withstand temperatures up to 1800 degrees while being really durable and scratch resistant. And to apply it, we'll be using my cheap ANI GF3 minigun with a 0.7mm fluid tip. I've used this gun a couple times now, and so far I've been pretty pleased with it. I'm by no means a professional, but applying air dry Cerakote isn't too hard, and the results speak for themselves. All the metal components that weren't coated got cleaned up with 000 steel wool until they were nice and shiny again. The Cerakote kind of appears more gray than the original black lacquer on the sewing machine, but it's really hard to notice unless you're looking for it. Overall, I'm really happy with how they turned out. And I'm also really happy with how the table turned out. It took 4 coats of Armor Seal with a 1000 grit sanding in between, but the result was well worth it. After sitting and curing for a few days, it's amazing how rock hard it becomes. The coffee table I built a few years back and coated with Minwax polyurethane. Even today it can still be dented with a fingernail, but that is not the case with this stuff. I'm not too thrilled about how the wood filler turned out though. I expected it to take on a darker color than it did, and I think in the future I'll only use this when I'm going to be painting over something, like I did my subwoofer. It's especially noticeable on the holes that have a dark ring around them from where something metal was screwed into the table there. My dad also machined up this steel brace to help distribute the load of the machine and the motor on that area with the crack in the back. And this is solid steel bar stock, so that crack isn't going to separate ever again. And overall, I'm really happy with how the project turned out. As always, there's a couple things I would have done differently in hindsight, but I'll remember them for the next time something needs restored. For now, all the rust is gone, everything is protected, and the table is smooth and beautiful again. And it should be good for another 70 years. For those of you wondering, I do plan to do something similar with the machine head itself, but that will be later. Tracking down a paint that's black enough to match the Japanese lacquer the machine came with from the factory is proving to be a bit of a challenge, and since it works perfectly, I'm in no hurry. If anyone is interested in seeing videos about my upcoming sewing projects, let me know in the comments section down below. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, If you liked the video, hit like, get subscribed, and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, and I will see you guys in the next one.